and to win big in a way that it is now definitely not going to.
As if by magic, Adam-bienkov has joined us from politics.co.uk. Thank you very much for coming in. You say that these attacks this week by business have failed. Why?
Well, I mean, the polls before these attacks started, Labour had a 1-point lead. They still have a 1-point lead. And if you look at the polls, the poll today came out, voters are not being swung by these attacks. In fact, a large majority of voters actually want Labour to go further, to stand up to business even more than they currently are. So I think the way people think about business, big business in particular, has changed a lot in the last few years.
Wouldn't a lot of people just automatically assume that a lot of big business is just pro-conservative and there's not much you can do about it?
Well, yes, exactly. And I think if you look at some of the executives that have come out against Labour in recent weeks, one was a Conservative donor, another was an advisor to the Prime Minister. People kind of accept that these kind of people will attack Labour for being anti-business, and I don't think it's going to swing a huge amount of votes either way, really.
But plenty of businesses have supported Labour in the past. It did move quite considerably, didn't it, between the 1997 election and then again in 2003, where more business came forward and was pro-Labour. So they'd rather have their support than not have it.
Yes, I think they'd rather have it than not, but the question is, will it actually move any votes? I think this is something that Conservative supporters probably, it chimes with them, and I think it's something that Labour would rather not have had happen. But if you look at the polls, it's not changed. It's just confirmed what people already think.
If Ed Miliband and the Labour Party generally, Stephen, decide that they're going to stick with this line and that they're going to be pro-responsible business, but also in favour of getting rid of zero-hours contracts, wanting companies to stop tax avoidance, isn't that going to play quite well with a large part of the electorate and be a bit of a worry to the Conservatives because it makes Ed Miliband distinctive?
I think the problem is it makes him distinctive in quite an abstract way. When he was attacking, say, Sports Direct, a business where a lot of the people who work there you can see are unhappy, they're owned by the same guy who owns Newcastle, so he's a bit of a comedy villain. That was good, but when you're kind of talking about flavours of capitalism, varieties of capitalism...
I'm very anxious about using the word villain, but you mean it in an entirely metaphorical sense.
In an entirely metaphorical sense. Yeah, when you're talking about kind of these fairly abstract things, well, how is that going to make me better off? Yeah, whereas it's every second he's talking about how he doesn't like business, he's not talking about how he likes doctors or nurses or, anyone who works in the public sector. So,
But what does a business endorsement really mean for the Labour Party in the election?
I think it's a bit like getting a blue verified tick on Twitter, which I feel very sore about because I don't have one yet. But it kind of says, oh, this is someone you can take seriously. This policy, it works. When the switch is pulled, the light will come on. And by losing that verified tick, I think it does make him look less credible than he otherwise would.
Adam, don't you think, though, that back at Labour Party HQ, they'll be looking back on this week and thinking maybe this wasn't quite the right narrative for us, and they will start to have to make overtures to big business?
Well, I think they already are, and I think there are certainly lots of businesses that do back Labour because of their stance on the EU and immigration. So I don't think they'll be too worried about this, and I think that actually, on the margins, there may be a few people who will be more inclined to vote for Labour. But overall, I think it's not going to worry them too much. I don't think it should worry them too much.
Adam-bienkov from politics.co.uk, thank you for sidling in so quietly. And to Peter as well, our floor manager, who enabled it to happen. And Stephen Bush from Daily Telegraph, thank you both.